It's philosophy time again. So here we are. The kids are all in bed, so I'm going to be reading a little bit out here. Persistence enables life's magic to unfold through an evolutionary process in which the doors you'll knock on in the future, the ones that can't even be imagined today, only present themselves and possibly come into existence later in the journey. If there is a journey, and there can only be a journey when you do what you can today, however mundane it is, in spite of not being able to see the good stuff that lies ahead. All dreams coming true do so through this evolutionary process, which can't unfold without starting in spite of not knowing quite where you're headed. This is how your dreams have and will come true. Don't be discouraged when starting from where you are with what you have seems entirely inadequate. That's both normal and unimportant. This is precisely why you need to start now and persist, so that the stage and your options can evolve and reveal themselves as you continue pressing on. A note from the universe. The evolution of a dream. Dream is implanted into brain. Dreamer becomes thrilled. Dreamer becomes terrified. If no action is taken, terrifying thoughts grow into flesh-eating monsters. Dream is considered unrealistic. If action is taken, terrifying thoughts are revealed to be paper tigers. Confidence soars, miracles unfold, and dreamer begins to saunter. Either way, nothing remains the same. You, the universe. You never know how close you are. Another lesson I've learned pertaining to persistence is that you never truly know until after the fact just how close you are to when your dreams finally come true. This is kind of scary because it means you could be really, really close, yet not knowing it, draw the conclusion that it's just not working out and quit. Even after you had perhaps reached the tipping point towards inevitable success. By our second anniversary during the t-shirt days, it was still slim pickings. In 2 years, I had drawn only $12,500 in pay. I remember thinking one hot summer day while walking through the parking lot of a supermarket, if things don't get better soon, I'm out of here. I'm totally gonna quit. Yeah, very negative thinking. But I was still doing all the other positive things that make life work. Besides, I didn't quit. By our third anniversary, we were finally in our own warehouse space. I had an office to go to every day instead of working from my home. We were going further and further on the trade show circuit and having better and better sales, and our sales reps were bringing in big orders from big customers. I was having a blast. I remember getting out of bed one morning ready for my drive to the world headquarters thinking, man, this is it. I love what I do. I can't wait to get to the warehouse. And as I thought those words, I had suddenly a flashback to the conversation I had with myself in the parking lot the previous year. Ooh, I could hardly reconcile the difference in my life. And I had to really push myself to admit that only 12 months had passed between then and all the struggling we'd endured seemed so long ago. Unpleasant memories fade fast, especially when your life is kicking butt. Even now, for instance, you may have already reached your dream's tipping point where success is inevitable, though this will only be known in hindsight at some point after the fact. The same thing happened the second and third year of my writing and speaking career. In one moment, it seemed I was bemoaning to my mother, when is my life going to take off? Why is it taking so long? And then in the next moment, It was in the midst of a world tour, speaking for $5,000 an hour. A friend was lamenting his life and asking the very same questions I'd been asking my mother a year earlier. Thinking his words sounded all too familiar, I was totally stunned with the realization that they had recently been my own and that my fortunes had changed so fast. Bizarrely, in both cases, only with hindsight was it obvious that somewhere during a 12-month span of my life had profoundly changed. Although if you'd asked me at any point during the transition, I would have undoubtedly shared most thoughts on how difficult things seemed and how frustrated I felt with my seeming lack of progress. Yet even as I would have shared those words, I was obviously very, very close to my breakthrough. The tipping point had been reached. Success was surely inevitable. But when? At what point in those 12 months did I hit my winning stride? There was no single night during those months of transformation wherein I put my head down on my pillow after a long, hard day, still on the persuasion that my journey had better improve or else, and woke up the next morning having made it. In other words, even as my ship was coming in, I couldn't see it. I never realized how close I was to seeing some of my grandest dreams realized, and they never would have had I not persisted, allowing for the evolutionary magic of the universe to morph itself around me. It's as if somewhere in those months I'd crossed an invisible line that represented the transition from my journey being a slog to a coast. Yet had I been looking for that line, I never would have seen it, and I would have been at risk for quitting as a result had I not pressed on in spite of appearances. It is impossible to actually know how close you are on a journey inspired by a dream. Impossible. It's like messing with the cursed house. Don't even go there. Even now, for instance, you may have already reached your dream's tipping point where success is inevitable, though this will only be known with hindsight at some point after the fact. One final point on persisting I'd like to suggest is that you be kind to yourself. Definitely. Too often, due to impatience, we want to beat ourselves up, label ourselves, and say things like, it only works for everyone else except for me, or I'm getting in my own way, or I'm too negative, all of which ultimately lead to giving up on our own dreams. Be kind to yourself. We live in a spiritually primitive time. In some ways, embracing the truth about reality goes against everything we've ever been taught concerning creating change in your life. Have patience, enjoy the ride, appreciate the magnificence of who you are already. I'll repeat that. Have patience, enjoy the ride, and appreciate the magnificence of who you are already. All you've been through and all you've already done. Change is optional. If you're up for exercising some spiritual muscles, ease into it. Be gentle, experiment, be playful, love yourself. One of the reasons I deliberately share with you many of my enormous fears and my embracing acts of faith, or lack thereof, and told you of my doubts on my own progress and my threats to even quitting, is to show you that all the stuff I've taught still works even if you entertain negative, fearful, limited thoughts. Certainly changing really is simple, at least vastly easier than what the old school approaches offer. You are loved, you are guided, and every day you are literally pushed on to greatness. Just do what you can with what you have and from where you are, in spite of your fears, in spite of the negative acts of faith, in spite of appearances, and a new world will be born. As it is in heaven, so it is on earth. Thy will be done. More on happiness. It's as if within all of us there's a little invisible happiness vial. We're all born with vials that are filled to the brim with a happiness fluid. No matter what happiness is to you in life, no matter what tragedies befall you, no matter what your triumphs or glories you experience, you will never get one more drop of that fluid, nor will you any amount be taken away from you. It is a constant. It's always been the same and it will always be the same. Tapping into it, however, comes from a choice to do so, from giving ourselves permission. Yeah, you have to choose to be happy. True happiness is not contingent about things happening in your life. Happiness is a state of mind, a state of being. It has to be practiced and cultivated and openly and actively embraced as much as possible. Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness is an appreciation for life itself, for yourself, for where you are, no matter where you are. Even if you're in prison right now, even if you have a life-threatening disease, even if your heart is broken or you're bankrupt, happiness is attainable in this instant. If you think it's a matter of success or new loves or better friends, just jump onto a never-ending Ferris wheel, always looking for more and more, perpetually denying yourself the opportunity to feel it and the permission to be happy now. True happiness is not contingent upon things happening in your life. Imagine a young couple straight out of school. What do they likely want more than anything in the world? They want a home together. They'd be happy with almost anything, even a little apartment. It doesn't matter, just so that they can be together. Once they have their apartment, everything is rosy for a year or two. And what do they want? A little house. That's what they want more than anything in the world. And then they'll be happy. And once they get this little house, everything is rosy for a year or two until the kids come along. And then they want a bigger house. And then they want a house with a pool. And then a second house. It never ends. And in this never-ending thirst for more is awesome, unless you hinge your happiness upon this conquest. Our desires are gifts from the universe that gives us reason to get out of bed each morning. Our desires need to be honored. They are unique and our preferences. They give us direction and motivation. The example of the young couple is not a little story about why it's bad to have desires. The point is that you're always going to have them, always and forever. It is the trait of the immortal to forever be growing, adventuring, and becoming more. In other words, and please read this carefully, being immortal yourself means there will always be things you want that you do not have yet. This is part of your blessing. I'm not saying that you aren't going to have the things that you want today, but from this little story, you know that once you get them, you are going to want something else. You're destined to always feel divinely incomplete. This is what keeps us going. We'll never get bored this way, recognizing the fact that you are always going to want stuff or experiences or adventures or even love that you don't yet have means the trick to happiness is learning to feel it even as you are stretching, striving, and yearning for more as you try to complete the incompletable you. Woohoo! And a note from the universe. Tell you what, if you can get happy right now in spite of any problem, challenges, or circumstances that now seem to taunt you, I'll take care of those problems, challenges, and circumstances as well as the ever after. Please do the math. Take the bait and never look back. Tally-ho, the universe. There's no reason to put off your happiness anymore. Find it now and tap into your vial, and then you'll have it for the rest of your life. This could well be the most important thing I've shared in this book. But you're probably thinking, yeah, just let me get out of debt and then I'll be happy. Land a job and then I'll be happy. Finish my book and then I'll be happy. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. You will be blessed with desires and therefore challenges furthermore. Haven't you noticed? They're quite inseparable. Know this and learn to enjoy the journey in spite of them, and you'll improve the entire manifestation process. The worrying and discontentedness will automatically shed. You'll be more relaxed. You'll understand that the destination is only something that makes a journey possible, and that is truly the journey that matters. This is why you want things, and it gives meaning and beauty to feeling incomplete. There's literally a magic conjured up with every physical step one takes in a journey to make real once just a dream, and this is especially true for the very first step. Take it, start, begin it. The first step is always the hardest, and yet once taken, all the rest are easier. Kid yourself if you have to. Really, tell yourself that after the first step, you're going to give yourself time off. You might not even take a second. Just do something today. Tomorrow you can watch cartoons, go camping, sleep in. Sharpen your pencil. That's all you have to do. Drive to the parking lot of the place you want to visit. You don't have to get out of the car. Print the cards, float the idea, join the club, open the account, price the trip, open the book, call the broker, ask for bids, order the supplies, ask for help, design the layout, dare yourself. And I'll just bet that tomorrow there'll be no stopping you. Yeah. Looking forward to tomorrow. Looking forward to tomorrow. It's another day filled with opportunities for fantastic things to happen and ways to offer myself, yourself, to your family, friends, community, the world, and ways to make it a more beautiful, better place. Let's all lift each other up. Let's all work together. Let's make it something worth being proud of. And let's move into the future together. Thank you.